Have you ever been talking to a new prospective owner client and they want to hire you, and then they say this, well, that sounds great, but I do want to do my own maintenance. Oh, what do you do? Well, I'm Marc Cunningham at Grace Management, and we run into this problem a lot, and this is how we respond to that when current owners or prospective current owners suggest or state they want to do their own maintenance. Because ideally we don't want that to happen, because we have to give up control then for them to do their own maintenance. So here's a couple thoughts, pieces of guidance you may want to consider that have been helpful for us. Number one, suggest that they do it, but only they do it at the turnover. So an owner will say to us, I want to do my own maintenance. We'll say, well, Mr. Owner, for our maintenance process, most of that is very automated. We handle maintenance in-house, but we would be happy to have you do your own maintenance at the turnover. So if you want to go in at the turnover and repaint and replace the cabinets and do new cupboards and go, great, do whatever you want to do. On normal maintenance, we prefer to handle that ourselves with our vendors, but on turnovers, you are welcome to go in and do whatever you want to do. Now, oftentimes that in and of itself will persuade the owner that, okay, that's okay. So at least if at a significant turnover, when there's a lot of expenses potentially coming up, I as the owner can do my own make ready. So that's guidance number one. Now, if that doesn't work and they push back and they say, well, I also want to do all my own maintenance ongoing. That's a tough one. It really is, because to some extent, I get it, right? It's the owner's property. They want to save some money. They want to go in there and do their own maintenance. So where do you draw the line on that? Potentially, we will make some exceptions to this, and we will let owners do their own maintenance within some very specific boundaries. And here's one of those boundaries. If they demand to do it and they live across the street and they're a handyman themselves, we'll say, okay, that's fine, but here's the way it's going to have to work. Number one, we're going to hold you to the same standards that we hold our other vendors to. Meaning, if a tenant request comes in and their sink is leaking, we will put in our system that you're the vendor for that. And we will contact you the same way we contact our other vendors, by email. Now, if you don't respond to that and confirm that and get that scheduled with them within, and then whatever your maximum time rate is, 48 business hours, just like our other vendors, at that point in time, we will give that call to another vendor. So we're going to treat you just like a vendor. So that means if you're out on vacation and you don't respond to the email, sorry, you're out of luck. We're giving it to our vendor, because we can't make exceptions. We can treat you like a vendor, but we can't make exceptions beyond that. So if you say, I'm just too busy, I'll get to it in 2 weeks. No, that's not going to work. We have to ensure that you are performing at the same standards that our other vendors do. So that's the second piece. Now, another part of that to make sure they fit within your boundaries would be to say something like this. Now, we cannot do it on emergencies. Okay? So when the tenant calls in at 3 a.m. because they have no heat, our system is not created to contact you at 3 a.m. That's why you hire us. So we don't bother you at 3 a.m. But we still need to get heat going if it's a Friday night or Saturday morning, 3 a.m., and they're going to be without heat for all weekend long. So in that case, in those emergency cases, we are going to use our emergency vendors to get that done, number one. And secondly, I cannot guarantee that in those instances you will get a call. I just can't guarantee it. So I'm not going to put it in the management agreement, because our system is so automated, we are so prompt and quick that when those calls come in, boom, we're on it. So I can't guarantee, I can't promise. I'll do my best for normal routine maintenance to give you a call, but we can't guarantee it's going to happen. Do not promise your owner vendor or your owners that this will happen, because if you do, that's where you get yourself in trouble. So tell them you'll do your best, but tell them that you can't promise it, and certainly not on emergencies. You also do not want to use them on safety items, and you want to tell them this as well. So Mr. Owner, if a hot water heater has to be replaced, a permit has to be pulled for that. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't in your city, but if it does, permit has to be pulled, and it has to be installed by a licensed plumber. You're not a licensed plumber, we're not going to let you do that. Same thing on gas work, right? If the furnace goes out and a new gas line has to be installed, anything that's a safety issue, we need to control that. We need to make sure that the tenant is safe, your property is safe. So on those issues, we can't let you access the property. So you want to draw a very, very tight box with tight boundaries around when you will and will not let your owner client enter the property. And if an owner just draws a hard line on that and they demand to be called and everything in advance, then don't work with them. It's just not going to be worth the effort. On a future video, we'll talk about what to do when the owners want to be contacted. They demand to be contacted in advance. That one will hit next. Do want to invite you quickly to our Pulling Back the Curtain event coming up shortly. It's going to be in Denver. I'm going to be talking about how to find, how to attract, how to retain the top quality talent for your organization. Dave Borden's talking about marketing, how do we improve our marketing. Abby Wasserman is talking about social media, the intimidating social media. This will be well worth your attendance. I promise you. You will like this. If you come and you don't like it, then I will, I don't know, whatever you want. I'll do something, right? Because it's going to be that good. And by the way, on day 2, if you like our system manual stuff, on day 2, if you attend day 2, you will receive, I will give you a printed version of the actual property manager system we use, as well as a digital version so that you can customize it for you. That's day 2. So show up on day 1, definitely show up on day 2, get yourself the system manual. It's time for you to get systematized in your business. Hope that helps. Hope to see you in Denver.